Hi, this is Nikki of nikkisconfettilife.com and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Garden of Mind. It is March. Happy March. What a great month to be in. And you're going to think I'm crazy for saying this, but it really is a great month because March brings us this 9 energy. It's a 3, 6, and 9 energy working together for our good. So what does that mean for you and me? March, you got to wrap it up. Pull it together. Things are coming to an end. Weed out what does not belong, like a garden. All right? It's a spiritual renewal happens as a result of you getting rid of things, weeding out things and people. You've got to do some purging of your emotions and then look at what is happening. Why is it happening? Look at it. Don't turn away from it. Explore your emotions and how you're feeling about things, because this is going to let you know what your next step is. This is all about intuition and listening to your gut. What are you fed up with? Is it your job? Is it some people around you? What and who is holding you back from what you want to do? You have to make space for April, because April is all about receiving, and you got to make space for what is to come. And whatever you're releasing, whatever people you're cutting off, however you're going to leave the job, whatever situation is no longer working for you, you've got to release it with the right attitude. And that right attitude is love. You have to release it with love. Now, how in sync is that for this 2-for-1 you're getting today? This is a 2-for-1. I am doing on my blog, nikkisconfettilife.com, every month. I will talk about the previous month and the lessons I've learned or the reminders that month has given to me. And I advise you to do the same. What are you learning this month? Write it down and reflect on it at the end of the month. Lessons are coming, reminders are coming all the time in our lives. That's our guide. You know, those are our ordered steps, our lessons and our reminders and our intuitions and our prompts to do this or not to do this, to say this or not to say this. And since I'm in a 9-year, which that's something you have to learn about later. I'm in a 9-year and it's all about endings. And you would think that's a bad thing, but when something ends, something else begins. All right. So some of my lessons, and I'm going to do the ones that pertain to endings because it's a lot. If you go on nikkisconfettilife.com and read February's lessons and reminders, you'll feel me. All right. So one of the things I learned in February was it feels good to no longer be in love with a person that was never in love with me in the first place. Yes, there is nothing wrong. There's nothing worse. There is something wrong with it. There is nothing worse than a one-sided love affair. If you find yourself in a situation or a relationship where there's no balance, and even when something balanced, if you look at it on a scale, there's still a little movement, all right? And so if you find that there's a imbalance in that relationship here, or here, or here, and it remains stuck here. They're on one page in a whole nother book, and you're on one page in a whole nother book. It's one thing to be on a different page in the same book, but it's a whole nother situation or thing to be in one book and on another chapter and then a whole nother book. Okay? So I found myself in this one-sided love affair. And that brings such a great imbalance. But you find yourself feeling bad. It's a struggle. It's an on and off again situation. And let me tell you, when I let that thing go and I got free from that, it felt good. You would think I would feel bad because it's over. It's the ending. No, it was like a burden had been lifted for me. So that was a lesson that I learned pertaining to endings. And even with that lesson, there were more lessons. It feels good to put them in their proper category. Okay? Friend, associate, everything and everyone in their proper place. When something is out of order, it's not going to work. When something is out of order, it does not feel good. When something is out of order, it does not feel right. When something is out of order, let me say it again, there will be a struggle, a huge difference. Okay? All right. And in order for me, this may help you to make a clean break from a relationship, an entanglement that's an off and on again, too. I first began the process of emotionally disconnecting before I leave. That's right. I emotionally disconnect before I leave. I learned this lesson a very long time ago, being in, relationships, and how hard it was to get away from that person or to break it off. You break up, you get back together. You break up, you get back together. That's because you have an emotional tie to the person, or some people call it a soul tie or a spiritual connection. You got, whether it's good or bad, it's spiritual connection to this person. So I started to disconnect my emotions first, so that there is nothing else tying me to that person. Okay. Another thing I do is we magnify the 5 good times and we forget about the 50 bad times. This is something that I do. I write down the things that person has said to me that have hurt me, the things that person has said to me that I don't want to hear. I really don't feel the same way you feel about me. I write it down. I wrote down the times that things were going on that were disappointments or things I knew about the relationship that I didn't like. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, all of it. And guess what I did? Every morning I got up, I did my other affirmations. I looked at that thing and I was like, okay, yeah, I remember that. Oh, yeah, that one was bad. Oh, that really hurt me there. I can't believe I put up with. I'd read it, because reading it and seeing it and saying it and looking at it helps me to face reality. Okay? It helps me to remember, because when those little good times come up, you forget about all that other stuff. But that other stuff is not resolved. It's going to come back up. Okay? All right. So I read it every day, or anytime I thought about, maybe this can work. Maybe I can wait a little bit longer and see how it turns out. No, I read that piece of paper, and that piece of paper like, no, you can't. You really need to get out of this. So there are no emotional or no significant emotions to pull me back in. And like I said, I figured that out years ago. One thing about life goes on. And I added to that, people say all the time, well, life goes on. Okay, what happens after life goes on? So I started saying, well, life goes on and it gets better for me. Life goes on and it gets better for me. That's another lesson that I learned, or a reminder that came to me in February. Get them out of your system, because their way of liking and loving you is poison. And even when they're gone, that poison will remain. You've got to get them out of your system. How do you do that? Brace yourself by fasting from contact with that person and conversation. You heard me right. Hard work, baby. Hard work and hard, challenging work. But you've got to do the work to make that disconnection, all right? And remember, something else I learned too. I wasn't respecting myself. Self-respect is a form of self-love. Don't lose your self-respect in the name of love. I did, and I have, and I won't do it again. All right? I was unaware that I was disrespecting myself. I was disrespecting the love I have for myself and the love that I have, period, for others. That love was not for that person. How dare me disrespect the love I have for myself? That's right, baby. Self-love and self-respect go hand in hand. All right? And another thing that I learned at the end of February, on February the 27th, I believe it was, yes, that you will not always get to decide when things end, and sometimes things will end abruptly. We're in that season right now. It's okay for emotions to be all over the place. However, with time determined by you, how much time you spend on it, you will find your footing. Emotions will settle, and you will be able to see and think clearly. Then you will gain the power of decision making, all right? A decision to decide how you will respond to the ending. How are you going to respond to the ending? It's up to you, all right? So, with that being said, and a lot has been said, I like to keep it as short as possible and get right down to it. I hope that you discover what it is that you need to end this month, what it is that you need to cut away, what it is that you need to weed out. Because I'm ready for April. I'm ready to receive. I know you're ready to receive, but you got to make room. All right? So be blessed. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the week. I hope to see you again sometime this month. All right. Be blessed.